Hello everyone, my name is Garima Botra and I am here to talk about contractual liability and tortious liability. So let's start with tortious liability. So first, what is a tort? Tort is basically a civil wrong. And the liability arises here when there is a breach of duty by us towards other people in general. And this duty is primarily fixed by the law. And the remedy available here is compensatory in form of unliquidated damages. So what are unliquidated damages? Unliquidated damages are the type of damages for which compensation is provided at large and it is not determined from the before in a contract or anything. It is determined later by the court when there is a breach of duty. So let's take an example for our better understanding. For example, it is my duty not to defame my neighbor. I do not have a contract from starting with my neighbor that we will never defame each other, and if we ever do, we will pay each other compensation this much. But it is still my duty to not to defame him. And if I ever defame him, causing him harm to his reputation, then I will be liable to pay him compensation as determined by the court. So next, what is a contractual liability? What is a contract? Contract is basically a legal document which recognizes rights and duties of parties entering into an agreement towards one another, and the obligation or the liability here arises when there is a breach of such duty as determined in a contract by either of the parties. Section 73 of the Indian Contract Act states that when a contract has been broken, the party who suffers from such compensation by breach is entitled to receive from the party who has broken the contract compensation for any loss or damage caused to him thereby which naturally arose in the usual course of things from the breach or which the parties knew when they made such contract. And according to the section 74 of the Act, the court has to determine the compensation to be paid by the parties, and it should not exceed the amount already determined in the contract. So let's go to the distinction between these two, contractual liability and tortious liability. So the first distinction is in tort, the duty is towards other people in general, whereas in contract, the duty is towards people in the contract, other parties in the contract. And in tort, remedy is in form of unliquidated damages, that it is not predetermined and later is determined by the court as per the breach of the duty. And in contract, the remedy is in form of liquidated damages, that is the court will determine the compensation not exceeding the amount determined in the contract. And the third is duty. In tort, duty is fixed by the law, whereas in contract, duty is fixed by the parties entering the contract. And fourth, in tort, liability is there in the future too, whereas contract, liability in future is not guaranteed. And fifth difference is in contract, motive of the party is irrelevant. Motive of the party breaching the contract is irrelevant, whereas in tort, the motive of the party is also irrelevant, but it can be used to tip scales to increase the liability on the part of the defendant. And the sixth difference is in contract, compensatory damages are provided. That is, a reasonable compensation is provided by the court as determined in the contract, not exceeding the amount determined in the contract. In tort, also compensatory damages are provided, but in cases where there is an injury to a person or his character, the court may provide exemplary damages. Exemplary damages are the sort of damages which are given to punish the defendant or to prevent him from committing such act in the future. In contract, exemplary damages are never provided. However, there are cases where there is a breach of duty as well as a contract, like when a doctor tells his patient that he is in need of surgery and the patient agrees to the surgery, and during the surgery, due to the negligence of doctor, he causes harm to his patient. A case will be filed under tort even though the duty arose due to a breach of a contract. In cases of negligence like these, evidence must be provided that there was a duty to take care on the part of the defendant, and the court will determine whether this duty fell in the standard of reasonable care. The standard here is not the one of an average man, but is the one which requires the person to do his job. Like the standard will be different for different people. Like the one of a doctor will be different from the one of a car driver. Thank you for watching.